Hence, bank generated non-performing asset (NPAs) and struggled to give further advances. To keep business moving, shadow banks stepped up. These financial institutions didn't follow traditional banking rules and made up an estimated 1 by thirds of all new loans. Eventually, in 2008, shadow banking giant IL and ILNFS defaulted on debt repayment. Its collapse, its collapse sent shockwaves through the economic and shook up more traditional banks that supported the sector. This this had a ripple effect and accelerate. Government debt is in a combination of liabilities of centers and states. Now the debt ratio is likely to hit a record of 91% in financial year 2021 according to the report. This will be highest recorded debt since the 1980s. The report also predicts that it is unlikely to fall to 60% by financial year 40 without further hurting growth. The report also predicts that it is unlikely to fall to 60% by
The Bhushan Power and Steel Limited, which was once a leader in the Indian steel sector, is now in the headlines again. You might have witnessed a company going from nothing to reaching the top of the pyramid, and then there are others others which were once a shining star and become a fallen star later. But today we will learn about the company which fell from riches to rags in no time while its promoter seems to have become even richer. Something smell fishy, right? So we will discuss Bhushan Power and Steel and find out how times changes for the once great company. History and growth story of Bhushan Power and Steel. Kick starting in operation in 1970, Bhushan Power and Steel BPSL was involved in manufacturing and marketing steel and steel related products led by its CMD Sanjay Singhal. The company ultimately placed in focus on manufacturing small steel products such as door hinges initially. The Bhushan Power and Steel had its business confined to a few customers. However, as demand spread headed sorry demand spearheaded in the right direction, they expanded their region under business. They established unit in Chandigarh, Kolkata, Dev, Deva, Derabasis, and Orissa to support their demand requirement. However, their, their head officials remain in New Delhi. By 2014, they made an annual turnover of 11,288 crores. Bhushan Power and Steel profit climbed from 711 crore in 2010 to 1814 crore in 2014. Their, their earnings per shares increased from 19 rupees to 33 in the 4 years. The company's in short was in the fit of success making huge sums. Startup trouble. Have you heard the story of the goose which laid golden eggs? The story describes how the goose owner, out of greed, cut the goose to get more gold. Business Bhushan Power and Steel has a similar story. While while it was laying golden eggs, the greedy of its promoter led the companies straight to its doom. Ultimately, Sanjay Singhal was not only the brought under the notice of law but also lost his most prioritized process, prioritized possessions. BPSL between 2007 and 2014, Bhushan Power and Steel Limited, via its director Hughes, Hughes Loans. The company borrowed all these credit to making working capital requirement, purchase of lands and machineries, and other expansion related activity. Other expansion related activity. In the end, the company availed credit from 33 banks and another institutions. As a result, the total sum stood stood at 47,204 crores. While the company saw good growth and fairly reasonable profit, the continuous skipped payment deadlines. Later on, it was revealed that the money was siphoned and diverted to 200 sales companies companies. Further, the various assets were also brought illegally, but the books were manipulated brilliantly by the mastermind and the CMD of the company, Sanjay Singhal. This was all managed so perfectly that even the big big banks failed to notice. BPSL's book showed as if these funds were being infused into the company itself by the introduction of fresh equity, and thus Sanjay Singhal made everybody believe that all the borrowed funds were being used for the well-being of the company. However, the truth could not be viewed viewed for too long. The truth could not be viewed for the too long. It soon hit the high light of the day when the Punjab National Bank moved it for solvency, demanding the payment of dues and borrowed sum. The Bhushan Power and the Steel have availed credit of 4,423 crore rupees from the Punjab National Bank following the suit put forth by PNB. Other legender, other lenders were also exposed to the reality and they went on to join the suit. It included banks such as Bank of India, State Bank of India, and Bank of Baroda. The table shows some of the major borrowing of and Bhushan Power and Steels Limited. Punjab National Bank 4,423 crores, State Bank of India 3,800 crores, Bank of India 9,834 crores, Bank of Baroda 2,484 crores. The company was soon under the radar of the Enforcement Directorate and a charge sheet was filed. The action was taken against its promoter Sanjay Singhal under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act MPMLA. Along with him, a few others were taken into custody, including certain banks officials for their part in the money laundering and its illegal diversion. Soon, Bhushan Power and Steel were declared insolvent, and a bid requesting a proposal for the same was invited by the National Company Law Tribunal NCLAT. The series of problems. The NCLAT was happy happy with the bid of JSW, who was also the highest bidder for the BPSCL case. The Committee of Creditors (COC) was also content around the 19,700 crore rupees repayment proposal, while taking a haircut of approximately their 60% of their original loan amount. Everything seems to finally be on the right path, but the sum seems to be shine only for a short time. While the committee of creditor left a sign of relief, be- everyone failed to notice the problem problem that was ahead of them. I mentioned earlier, while the insolvency was going on, the ED, on the other hand, was determined in finding out the truth behind the money laundering case. The ED filed an opposition in the court for offering Bhushan power and a steel to JSW, stating that its promoters were associated with that of the BPSL promoters. ED also put forth evidence stating that the BPSCL and the JSW are related entities and both were engaged in the joint venture in a joint venture. Further, Further, it also argued that the Section 32A of the IBC could not be provided to BPCL, BPSL, BPSL, sorry, BPSL. For those who are puzzled by the sections 32A, it is a provision which offer protections to corporate debtors against any prosecution or attachment of asset if a resolution is approved of. Revival and plan of Bhushan Power and Steel. However, at the end of the day, the ruling the ruling were the ruling were the ruling were made in favor of JSW Steel Limited. This was a result of a request made by COC to speed the process and also offer immunity against all the criminal proceedings, stating that the acts of an individual should not be applied upon the company. Following the acquisition, JSW will be the go forward to become India's largest steel producer further. With steel demand coming back onto the track, we can expect the business to travel along good lines as well. Conclusion. In the end, all's well, all's well, the ends well, all's well, the ends well. After a series of trouble of mishappening, Bhushan Power and Steel Limited is all set to get a business going, even though under a completely new entity. However, questions pertaining to a certain uncertain for the future still remain. How will it perform? What what are the various aspects waiting for it? All these questions can be answered only as time goes.